Good evening, everybody. It is 6:30 p.m. Monday, November 17th, 2025. This is a Kearney Board of Aldermen meeting. Call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So have you had a chance to take roll?
I have taken roll. Everyone is present. You have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll move on to personal appearances, and looks like our lone friend in the audience tonight, we have Ms. Stacy Bratcher, the Executive Director of the Kearney Chamber of Commerce, here to provide the annual report. Ms. Stacy, you have the floor.
Thank you. That was quick. Thank you. All right. Well, good evening, Mayor, Alderman.
Good evening.
My name is Stacy Bratcher, and I'm your Kearney Chamber Executive Director, and we love celebrating our businesses. Figured if I didn't do that, you wouldn't know who I was. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you tonight and to share the Kearney Chamber of Commerce's annual report. It's always a privilege to stand before you on behalf of our members, partners, and the many businesses that make Kearney such a vibrant place to live, work, and visit. On behalf of the Chamber Board of Directors, I want to express our sincere gratitude for your continued support of the Chamber's mission as we relentlessly pursue a vibrant and prosperous business community. The collaboration between the city and the Chamber continues to be a cornerstone of our shared success. Together, we're creating an environment where business can thrive, where new opportunities emerge, and where our community story continues to grow stronger year after year. Through every program, event, and initiative, the Chamber strives to showcase local business and promote Kearney tourism, connecting our past to our future in meaningful ways. Hopefully you've received our annual report as well as our Chamber Directory and Community Guide. A few highlights from our work this year. We are now settled into our new office at 190 West 92 Highway. Yes, it has officially been a year. We have received many positive responses from members and visitors alike and have noted a significant increase in walk-in traffic. We took over the Community Hospitality New Mover Welcome Bag program with the blessing of Eric Eisen. We are on track to welcome more than 250 new movers with welcome bags, and yes, that number is larger than what's reported in your annual report. The co-working space we set up and tested in our new office has proven popular with 3 monthly users, 2 part-time users, and 7 one-time users. We hope to expand this service offering in 2026 as we support our members who either don't have a storefront or they're incubating a business or just needing that extra connection. We continued our partnership with the Gladstone, Liberty, Smithville, and Excelsior Springs chambers, hosting multi-chamber events. The Kearney Chamber produced the standing room only multi-chamber after hours at Walnut Creek in July. Our leadership committee developed and produced the Leadership Showcase in May, followed by our inaugural Empower Kearney Leadership Academy with 9 leadership-focused sessions coupled with case study lessons on community strengths and challenges. And we look forward to hearing from both Sheila and possibly the chief, who doesn't know that yet, in future Academy lessons. Usage of the Visit Kearney mobile app continues to grow. The Kearney Enrichment Council is using it regularly to promote their events and programs, and it is also now available on desktop. In preparation for the World Cup, the Chamber is proud to be a convener of Kearney partners, setting the stage for successful teamwork and keeping the collaborative process on track. We are also collaborating on the celebrated Go North KC campaign with Clay and Platte counties, as well as the Casey game plan. I'm so tired of saying Casey and World Cup. Oh my goodness. The Casey game plan, a new readiness initiative from Casey 2026 to help small businesses prepare for opportunities tied to FIFA World Cup. In August, we implemented a new customer relationship management database to make our internal operations more efficient while bringing more value to our members with new interface tools. We look forward to exploring and promoting these more in 2026. With the CRM also came a new website and a Bring Local Back marketplace. We are still getting familiar with all of these new features and functions. We hope to use them to their fullest next year. As we look ahead, there's a palpable sense of challenge and opportunity. The upcoming FIFA World Cup will bring a wave of tourism and regional exposure unlike anything we've ever experienced. Kearney is well positioned to welcome visitors, to showcase our local businesses and history, and to share the hospitality that defines our community. At the same time, we are acutely aware of the shifting climate within our business community. Many of our business owners are stretched thin, navigating daily pressures of a fast-changing world. They're balancing complex challenges in the marketplace with the personal responsibilities of family, health, and mental well-being. Add to that new legislation and regulations, political tension, and multiple platforms competing for their time and attention, and it's clear why many feel maxed out, scared, and weary. That's why the Chamber is refocusing on what matters most, our members. We are committed to strengthening value, increasing relevancy, and multiplying meaningful touch points. We want every member to feel seen, heard, and supported. Our board and ambassadors are doubling down on connection because connection is the heartbeat of our community. Looking toward 2026, we have significant work ahead, preparing for the World Cup and the opportunities it will bring, educating our community about the devastating effects of Proposition A as special interest groups seek to bring it back as a constitutional amendment, and celebrating milestone anniversaries with the 250th birthday of our nation and the 50th anniversary of the Kearney Chamber of Commerce. We are ready for the challenge and energized by the opportunity to continue serving Kearney's businesses and community. Thank you again for your partnership, for your leadership, and for your ongoing commitment to our shared vision of a vibrant and prosperous community. Thank you. Thank you.
Stacy, thank you for being here and sharing your annual report. We value the relationship between the city and the chamber, and we commit, still have the same commitment and vision to here in Kearney. So thank you and your board for all your work, and we look forward to continuing our partnership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As well.
Does anybody else have anything to share with Stacy?
I thought this was really neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was coming through it, listening, but I mean, through it, that's neat. Money well spent, so.
Thank you.
And I can't believe it's already been a year in the new space. That is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly for being here.
Thank you. We miss Barrymore Bank, but this has been a really great move for us.
I agree.
Yeah.
Thank you kindly.
Thank you.
Are there anybody that would like to address the board under open public comments this evening online? Doesn't look like it. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Does anybody on the board have any questions or items of discussion on the consent agenda this evening? We can entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented then.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Consent agenda is passed. Next item on the agenda this evening is a motion approving. Sorry, that's all part of the same consent agenda. Yeah, we have no ordinances this evening, no resolutions. The next item is the 2026 employee benefits summary and recommendation presented by our city administrator.
And this is your opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Stacy.
The city received proposals for the employee health insurance for the calendar year 2026 from Bucati. Scott Hefner presented those last week. No, it might have been the week before on a Wednesday afternoon. The original renewal reflected a 9.2% rate increase based on the current plan designs. Aetna also provided us an alternative plan option that would reduce the overall rate increase to only 2.82%. However, it would increase plan deductibles and out-of-pocket maximums to offset part of that cost. But in addition, they gave us another option for a new high deductible health plan that has a lower deductible, but the difference is that that deductible is non-embedded, where the deductible for our current plan is embedded. And that would only make a difference if you had more than yourself covered on your plan. So if it was on employee only, it definitely would make sense to go to the lower option. They also said that it would be a narrow provider network, but that is really excluding St. Luke's Hospital. We all got a letter in the mail that said that St. Luke's would not be a part of our plan next year. So it seems like not a lot would change at all, but I do need to reach out to Scott with that question to kind of confirm that. Because it seems like we really wouldn't be giving something up if St. Luke's isn't going to be a part. We also received proposals from Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City, United Healthcare, Cigna, and Gravy, with higher costs and fewer benefits on those plans. And I think the feedback that I heard from employees really was they would rather not change insurance companies if they didn't have to, just because it is looking to make sure that their doctors are covered and they kind of are in a groove now. But of course, sometimes you have to if the cost is a lot different, but that does not seem to be the case this year. So the rate increases kind of show, even though it says that it's a 9.2% increase, it's not 9.2% for each of the plan. That's kind of a merged together increase that if everybody would stay in the same plan that they are now, then that is the amount that our costs would increase. But oftentimes people make different decisions, maybe pick another plan based on what rates will do. So there are two options tonight for you guys to kind of look at. One would be to go to the higher deductibles and higher maximum out of pockets, but the employee's deduction would not change. And then the other option would be to have rates change, that deductions that are coming out of employee checks, but the deductibles and the out-of-pocket maxes would stay exactly how they are now. And depending on your situation in life, our employees are really, department heads kind of talked to employees, did some polling. It really seems very closely split. There's not a definite clear winner. Neither one is good or bad. They're just different. The recommendation that my original recommendation would be to go ahead and change, the deductibles and out of pockets to be able to keep employees' deductions the same. And then that would hopefully also make us that much closer as we're working on budget to being able to afford an next year's budget, hopefully a larger COLA adjustment. But it's so early that you don't know that is how it would transpire. Both options are within this year's budget, so there really isn't a right or a wrong answer. It's just what you guys think is best. We also received proposals or renewal amounts for dental, vision, life, disability, and our voluntary benefits. Dental is an increase of 6.99%. The premium's pretty low, so that doesn't translate into a big dollar amount. That also is within our budget. And then the Luce EAP was a 2.86% increase. And then we did have some interest in exploring a cash in lieu of health insurance option for employees. I went ahead and put it in there for you guys to consider. If an employee has an option, then possibly you could give them a benefit of $150 per month. I can't tell you for sure that it would save anything or cost more. It just depends on what people select, and possibly doing that as a pilot program, maybe for 1 year, just to see how that goes, or not. The risks are that it could end up where we have healthy people leaving our plan, and that negatively impacts our claims and ends up really increasing costs in next year for the city and for all employees. That is a real risk, but we don't have a crystal ball, so we don't know exactly what would happen. If you guys have any questions, please, I will try to answer them.
So the two renewal options with our current provider, Aetna, is keeping kind of the similar plan that our employees have now, and the city and employees would share that increase. The other option is a similar plan, but with even higher deductibles and still sharing a portion of the increase.
The city would take on all the increase, and the employees would be able to keep their deduction the same. And it also adds the high deductible health plan, with a much lower deductible. However, it's non-embedded.
And there's not adequate, we didn't, the increase to provide the same coverage, no change to employee paid. We don't have adequate budget to absorb that 9 point whatever percent.
No, because what what was budgeted was for a 10% increase, so a 10% of what the city was paying. So it kind of shifted where the employees would share part and the city could do 10% of what we were paying, if that makes sense.
Thank you. I was going there to answer my question. Thank you. If I could, I'll speak, and then I'd love to hear the board's thoughts here. I would love to find a way to provide the best coverage possible to our employees and limit their out-of-pocket expense. It's hard, whether it's for me to try to make that decision, not being an employee. You either can save some every month on your premiums and put that away for a possible higher deductible, or, so I guess it's one way or another. Does anybody else on the board have any thoughts or comments on the insurance proposal for our employees?
Well, I too, our employees are stretched like all of us are, and if there's a way that we can lessen the burden of our employees, I personally, I would rather see that than our employees having to share a part of the burden. Just my thoughts.
So not really necessarily change your recommendation would be not, so going with the higher deductible plan, so the employee portion paid in goes unchanged.
Whether it's the high deductible or keeping the plans and absorbing that 9% increase, either way, I'm not a fan of high deductible plans, but because a high deductible plan, it's money out of the pocket. I personally would rather see if there's a way that the city can absorb that 9.2% rate increase and keep the plans the way they are currently.
I would also maybe need to remind everybody that we would still be continuing to do the $300 contribution to a health savings account for employees each month, which if you look at the new high deductible plan, the deductible is $2,500, so they get $3,600. They would, if you were employee only, not for if you were more than employee only, but it is something I think to remember. We did continue with the $300 a month HSA contribution.
Alderman Spencer, Holt, or King, do you guys have anything to add here?
How much would the 9%? What are you talking?
The cost of the 9%, well, it's hard to tell because people might change, but I think it was close to I feel like it was close to between 700 and 700,000 a year, but that might not have been the actual increase. That might have been, I am so sorry. I don't remember. That is a great question though.
Well, I agree with David, but wondering how much that would be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tough call no matter which way you go, because he's correct. You hate to see you have to pay more each month towards your insurance, but I also can see if there is something catastrophic happens and you're in a big car wreck, or I mean, this amount to come out of your pocket, that's huge too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I wish that the employees you would have had a more decisive one way or the other instead of split.
I think it just depends on what stage of life you're in.
Exactly. My husband and I just redid our insurance, so I can see pros and cons to all of these. I don't know. It's hard to do a one size fits all, but I understand that's what we need to do.
Especially when we don't receive those benefits, right? So that
Yeah.
an added,
Yeah.
kind of,
And what's important to me at my age and
concur.
with no children in the home, as opposed to what might be important to someone Ashton's age with little ones in the home.
What How much time do we have here? Do we have the option to press pause on this and ask staff to work with department heads and try to get a firmer recommendation from our employees? Or is this a pretty pressing?
It's pretty pressing because it's already November 17th. Our next meeting is December 1st. And we really need to be holding open enrollment. Last year, we switched to a calendar year, which is really good, but what that's doing is employees are needing to decide now whether or not to sign up on their spouse's plan because their spouses are going through open enrollment. And so we really should make a decision tonight if there's any way that we could. And knowing that a lot of people do have a option to join a spouse's plan, it might mean that more people did the cash in lieu health insurance option, possibly, depending on if that worked. And we might have a lot of people leaving. We have 55 out of 67 employees on our, 57 employees out of 67 employees on our health insurance plan right now. So almost everybody except for 10 employees are on that plan.
So if several pull out, and who knows, maybe 10 pull out for do this cash in lieu of because maybe they have a spouse or something else. And like you said, they are the healthy ones, and then you have fewer employees, and they are ones that have ongoing issues. How does that affect our?
That would be really good for our plan. And the key is that we don't have the crystal ball, so we don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Making blind decisions.
okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Go up if there were less people involved.
Alderman Holt, yes, sir.
Yes, to kind of weigh in on this, I'm thinking of families that have children. That high deductible could be a big deal because you could have one child with a problem, then another child with a problem, and that deductible is per child or per person. So if there's any way to keep those deductibles down, I think that would be good due diligence for our employees.
Thank you for your input, Alderman Holt. So are you making that in form of a motion, or are you just sharing your thoughts at this point?
Well, I'm just sharing my thoughts at this point, but I do think that we got to look at, we have several employees that's got children.
Is this out of pocket max? Just so that I'm reading this correctly, is this for the whole family or is this per person?
Depends. It's
So
individual.
I know, I see both of these words here, but it doesn't really say.
So the individual is the first number on the
Okay.
left side of the dash or the hyphen,
And it
and then
doesn't matter how
family.
many are in the family.
correct.
Okay, that's what I was aiming.
And
Thank you.
our lowest deductible plan is the Aetna PPO 1000 plan. So it's a $1,000 deductible for an individual, $2,000 for a family. And then the out of pocket max is $4,500 for an individual, $9,000 for a family. Right now, each of these deductibles go up $1,000. So when you're talking about 1,000 to 2,000, it's doubled. But there are very few plans that are that rich, that are being offered at this time. And even though it is more expensive for employees to be on that plan, most of our enrollment is actually on that Aetna PPO 1000 and then also on the HSA.
That was gonna be my
Okay.
next question to ask you is you know, I too was trying to be conscious of family. I personally carry my whole family. My wife's self-employed on my employer supplemented plan at my job. But maybe my mind's in the wrong spot. Do we know roughly how many of our employees carry a full family? Maybe it's really half or a fourth, or do we have a lot that carry the full family that would maybe even be a risk we would need to try to mitigate?
Most of our employees are individual only. I want to tell you that I'm thinking we have like 35, maybe even 40 people that are individual only. And most of the people with family coverage are on the high deductible health plan. So. And I think a lot of people who are healthy pick the high deductible health plan because they're getting the $300 a month health savings account contribution that they can keep. And save for if they need it.
Okay, so it does carry over year to year. It
Yes.
does not. Okay.
It is, and it goes with them if they choose to, separate from the city, that health, any balance.
So it's
goes with them.
truly their benefit.
It is truly their
Okay.
benefit.
That's helpful. Yeah. All right. Any other questions from the board on staff? Thank you, Sheila, and everybody for answering all those questions. We have a couple of example motions. So thank you for those example motions for the board to consider, and staff is asking for us to make a decision this evening. Anybody would like to consider a motion or I guess ask any further questions? Ask one more point of clarification. So if an employee takes the proposed if the board would choose to put in a recommendation, the addition of the new $150 per month, that they would not be eligible for the $300 HSA, right? It's
Yeah.
either it's one or the other, right? They couldn't get the 150 plus a $300 HSA contribution.
That is correct. And so if you chose not to do the 150, just take that bolded part out
You
of
got it.
your.
Yes.
Sheila, you say that most of them are taking the higher deductible?
Lower deductible.
There's half, not exactly half, but the two biggest group enrollments are the lowest deductible and the highest deductible. So what I believe, the reason that I believe that happens is if you are on a lot of medications or something like that, you would probably pick this very low deductible plan. If you are a very healthy family, you're probably going to pick the high deductible plan because you don't go to the doctor a lot and you're getting $3,600 additional for a health savings account. And then if you are middle of the road, you're probably doing the middle plan. Which is the top. I call it our base plan, the 3,000. So this new Aetna PPO 2,500 plan, it will be really a benefit for it's in both your options, like it will be included no matter what. That is a really good plan if you are an employee only, because you're eliminating most of your risk. And you're getting $3,600 a year. And if you got sick, you would hit the deductible. The city would, that money from the city would help pay that. So I'm really excited that I was able to mix and match in that case.
my thought, obviously I don't get to make a motion. My thought would be to maintain the current health insurance deductibles and share the extremely modest premium increase. And I think that would probably sound like that would be a good option. And then my other ask is to ask staff next time to try to put together a recommendation or I think last year we had a recommendation from like an employee committee or something. I think that would be helpful for me if we had some sort of recommendation from our staff again.
How long are we tied to Katie?
How long are you tied to Katie? You're not, you can change, but I would say we're tied to them for right now.
Agreed, but I've dealt with Katie before. And there are other agencies out there that and maybe it's not just Katie, but maybe it's our agent. I think there's other agencies out there that can get us better rates.
I would like to say that this year's help, like, these are really, really good rates in today's, right now. Most people are coming back with rate increases in the high teens, if not in the 20s. So that means that I think we have a very healthy employee population. That's what this tells me. Unfortunately, because we are less than 100 employees, it is very, like, we don't get the tools that that larger employers get to be able to see all of that information. He does shop it every year. So
That's why I was asking about our numbers and if we have a significant amount that decide to do this 150 a month, would that affect us? But if we're not to a level where,
we definitely got a perk by going above 50.
okay,
It gave us some benefit.
well, I will second Randy's motion.
I don't believe I can make a motion. So
You would have to make the motion.
I'm not sure I would get his exact words again.
You could read it if you would like, if you want to pick.
One of those two.
It's one of
And
these.
Mayor, I
two.
did
Yeah.
get
It's like
a recommendation, like
Mm,
the top one was mine, but then I went back and Alderman Holt at our one-on-one, he said, can you also run the numbers for this other way? So that's where you got the alternate
okay, very well.
option. So I will take full responsibility if you, for however you go.
So we want to maintain what we have. But both of these say maintaining
How-
current.
If you tell me if you want to maintain the deductibles and out of pockets, then you would pick the alternative option. If you want to maintain the current deduction, payroll and deduction, then that would be the top sample motion.
All right,
But the second,
someone's gotta say something.
so the second option results in the employees having more out of pocket. The alternative option, correct?
It had a bigger payroll deduction
Right.
with the same deductible and the same out-of-pocket expenses. That's what the second one,
But they'll pay more each month for it.
yeah, each pay period.
And the first one allows the city to share part of those additional premiums.
It takes all of the additional cost on. The city pays all of the additional cost, but the employees share more cost through higher deductibles and higher out of pockets.
Yes.
And by the way, the co-pays and all of that stuff stays exactly the same.
Okay, I will make a motion to accept the employee benefit recommendations as presented, including the allocation of city and employee share of premiums under the recommended Aetna plan adjustments while maintaining current employee premium contributions for health insurance, and to authorize the addition of a cash in lieu of health insurance program of $150 per month for employees with proof of qualified alternative coverage through a spouse for the 12-month period beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31st, 2026, and authorize and direct the city administrator to execute all documents required to carry out this motion.
We've got a first on the table. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you guys for all your time there. Next is our October monthly financial report presented by Stephanie Harris, our finance director. Stephanie?
Mayor. Get that. Financial statements for October 1st, 2025 are in your packet. We are 7 months or 58% into this fiscal year. Things look as expected with one exception that I wanted to make you guys aware of. Sales tax revenues are trending a little behind where they were at this time last year by about $80,000 or for our 1% driven sales tax fund. It looks like this is related to timing since the details, when I looked further, show that the state's distribution for this month did not include some of our larger payers in this last payment. It's still early, but wanted to let you know, and I'll continue to keep a close eye on it, and we'll keep you updated each month. Just heads up. Did anybody have any questions as they looked through the financials?
Any questions for our finance director? Good. Thank you for that report. Next item is the Q2 operational results presented by each of our department heads.
And start.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I'm the Economic Development Director and pleased to share City Hall's update for Q2. City Hall supports all departments that provide direct services to the public, ensuring efficient city operations. I'd like to quickly point out a few metrics on the slide. This quarter, we onboarded 3 new employees and processed 452 payroll checks, 1,092 accounts payable checks, and over 11,500 utility bills, representing just over 90 million gallons of water sold. 56 new business licenses were issued, 14 were renewed, and there were 49 delinquent water shutoffs. IT responded to 118 help tickets. Across City Hall, staff completed more than 120 hours of professional training and logged just over 5 hours of overtime. And we closed the quarter with our budget to actual operating expenses at 43%. Moving on from metrics, City Hall was busy in Q2 with a variety of initiatives. City Hall had the server replacement was completed, and all of the end-of-life Windows 10 computers were replaced. The city completed the fiscal year 27 board priority setting session, which was recently formally adopted. This quarter, we saw continued momentum with the K-353 redevelopment plan for the redevelopment of original Kearney. 2 new projects were approved, a residential project at 105 South Grove and a commercial project, the all-new Bearmore Bank, which will be located at 303 Jefferson Street, and both are currently underway. Additionally, the building at 101 West Washington, which is catty corner from City Hall, it's considered a local landmark and it's being preserved through the K-353 redevelopment plan. The application was approved and this important building has been saved from demolition. So we're really excited about that. We have been working closely with the Chamber of Commerce, as Stacy mentioned, and Clay County Tourism on planning the 2026 World Cup. Kearney plans to join in the fun and by hosting an official community watch party at Jesse James Park, and that will happen on June 19th. City staff is working to create a fun, family-friendly celebration leading up to the main event, which will be a live watch party at the amphitheater at Jesse James Park. Looking ahead, we'll bring forward an ordinance for the board's consideration to allow short-term rentals in anticipation of the World Cup. And the cross-departmental development team continues to finalize the first draft of a clear, consistent development process guidebook. We're working on the development of the fiscal year 2027 budget and the creation of a comprehensive citywide fee schedule. And that's the City Hall update.
Quite the update. Thank you.
Municipal Court currently has 1 full-time employee, Shannon Smith, and Jeremiah Bortney also is assisting Shannon on court night. New thing for this year is we welcomed intern Natalie Knight from Kearney High School, and Natalie will be with us for the school year and has already been a great, valuable addition. Court had no overtime in the second quarter, and budget actual spending is 43%. In the second quarter, court had 554 new cases filed, which is a 54% increase from this time last year. They held 6 court sessions with a total of 1,459 cases on the docket. Of those, 78 were dismissed and 349 resulted in guilty pleas. They collected $33,680 in fines and $34,73 in clerk fees. And they also collected $8,113 in bonds, and $1,162 in bonds were forfeited to the city. They issued 216 warrants, recalled 140 of those, and issued 174 summons. The biggest highlight is they've begun clearing old cases, particularly those tied to officers no longer with Kearney PD, which resulted in over 150 cases dismissed from the legacy system, with cases dating back as far as 2004. Next quarter, they will begin working on their record retention and destruction in accordance with the state record retention and the city record retention policy.
Seems like court cases are being dealt with at a much better pace and things are moving at a.
Yeah, we're actually making a dent in old cases.
Good.
For sure.
That is super exciting to hear.
Yes.
Please pass along our appreciation for that.
I sure will.
Hi, Community Development Department. During the quarter, we issued 93 building permits at $7.6 million of investment. 93 permits is quite a bit more than this period last year, but we've had 77 of the permits were residential in nature. Most of those were new residential fences and residential roof permits. We've had a lot of roofers in town helping people with roof repairs because we had a couple storms earlier in the year. One thing that we did this past quarter is we created fence and re-roof permits. So it's a little simpler than our standard building permit form. Hopefully that helps streamline it for the contractors out there. Commercial permits weren't very many, but it did include 2 new construction permits. One was a second building, a smaller storage building for 940 Premier Drive. And then the new Siler construction, commercial building down next to, the Great Southern Bank on South Jefferson Street, that's under construction. Kevin performed just over 400 inspections, which is about 6% more than this time period last year. Animal control and code compliance, we issued 98 dog licenses, which is more than 3 times the number we did this time last year. When we did our all quarterly meeting, we compared this year to last year. Our this year numbers versus last year numbers are different people. We have a new building inspector that we didn't have last year. We have a different code compliance and animal control person that we had last year. So it's quite a difference, at least from the animal control and code compliance side. We responded to 103 code compliance issues, which was about 4 times more than this quarter last year. The Planning and Zoning Commission considered 5 submittals. It's not very many, but there were a couple that were really important. We had 2 final plats that were approved. One was Cottonwood Creek, 5th plat. So that would be right at the corner of Nation Road and 92 Highway. That had 22 lots. And then Westwood North subdivision with about 80 lots over by Dogwood Elementary. Construction's not started yet, but we think that by spring we'll see that. And, by this time next year, maybe we'll see houses.
Cottonwood or the northern piece?
Both, I would say both. Yeah, we have potential for both of them. And that's a good thing because we were starting to really run low on available neighborhoods too.
The Meadows at Greenfield Phase 8 should kick on pretty soon too.
Yeah, and then Noah's Landing is about, they're pretty close to being done. So we may have a final plat recorded soon and we'll see some permits pulled there too. When they get through about half of that phase, then the 3rd phase of Noah's Landing we'll see. So we may see Noah's Landing come through maybe this time next year for their 3rd phase final plat. And then we also saw the Wilkerson Farm commercial preliminary plat at Nation Road and 19th Street, which includes the future 2nd fire station. So those are some really important submittals that Planning and Zoning considered in the board also. I do want to point out a celebration that we had in our department. Kevin Kirk, the building inspector, this last quarter completed his residential combination inspector certification. So he has all the certifications for residential inspections and he started his commercial. Actually, he's made quite a bit on the commercial side too, but we can report on that at another time. So thank you.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. Just going to go through a couple of the statistics up here on our metric sheet. Our citations, and I did a lot of comparing between Q2 2025 and the same quarter of 2024. So citations, we had 504, but we had 590 last year. Calls for service, we had 1,689. And last year we had 1,702, which is about the same. Miles driven is about the same. Traffic stops, we went from 973 to 1,002. So this is increased by 152 compared to the same quarter last year. In essence, what's happening is we're writing people warnings instead of just writing everybody a ticket. And I like that. I like that our officers take that time to educate our public about some concerns that they have, some traffic violations, reasons for car stops. The other thing that's good about that is you have an opportunity there to have a conversation with somebody and take your time and do it right. And sometimes you come up with other reasons such as felony charges or warrants or that sort of thing that comes about as just a warning. You don't have necessarily those tickets. Reports, we went from 206 reports last year to 332. Why the increase? We're having more consistent self-initiated efforts and reports called in from the public as well. Arrests, we went from 101 to 120. We went from 13 to 38 crash reports. On live training, there was a huge increase. We went from 276 hours of live training to 936. The reason for that is that April 1st, we were already in the starter stance and ready to start training right off the bat. We didn't waste any time. We got our guys already signed up for training, and we went forward right out the chute. We focused our training efforts on upgrading our rifles and our handguns. We focused a lot on leadership training all around the department, and we received some awesome instruction for our detectives to sharpen their skill set even more. Havoc went from 60 hours of training to 36. And the reason for that is, as a new pup last year, he was in pretty much dedicated training during this quarter. I do report that he's being a good boy in all of his training. One of the things that we're looking at right now, and it's still in the formative stages, but we're looking at the rules and opportunities to imprint him on detecting fentanyl, which is a huge plus. I think it's going to be a great add-on for his skill set. But we're going at it the correct way, making sure we have everything covered as far as all of that training and everything goes. We went from 12 to 15 deployments by Havoc. Our social outreach through media, this time last year, we had 53, and we have 59 in the last quarter. Our paid overtime went up considerably. It went from 386 hours to 717. This increase is due to our increased training efforts and shift coverage during manpower shortages. So with all this training that we've been doing, we have to have somebody to cover that shift when those guys are on training, because maybe they're working nights or they're on days and we only have limited opportunities for the training. And so we're going forward with that. Our response time will be right behind the horn holders. Our response time is again under 4 minutes, which I think is incredible. In fact, in an incident that happened at the school a week or two ago, you guys remember, we had 2 officers there within 2 minutes, and we had 5 officers there within 3 minutes. And that is exemplary, in my opinion. Community relations, we went from about the same, 17 and 18 presentations. Our budget to actual was 49%, so we're right on track. So I'd like to take a couple of quick minutes. I'm going to cruise through this really fast. To highlight a couple of our highlights from the last quarter. Our firearms unit recently conducted an intensive handgun and rifle training course for the entire department. The instruction team, made up of our 4 experienced officers, ensured that every officer received hands-on training with our new Glock handguns and updated duty rifles. Having a 4-person firearms training team in place now, it helps increase our officer safety on the range. It increases our knowledge, and it also allows for individualized training, and we're able to call on each officer's experience and training, which is passed on to everybody. In terms of activity, we've seen a noticeable increase in calls and reports. As I said earlier, for the entire year, we had 925 police reports. By mid-September of 2025, we had already reached that same number, and as of today, we're at 1,040 reports compared to only 925 last year. So we've increased activity considerably. We also had some exciting personnel updates. Officer Heidi and Officer Marta Lauro successfully completed their field training officer phases, and everyone is released to full duty, bringing us to full authorized strength as a department. We have 1 officer on other assignment. We also had some exciting, in continued efforts to provide our officers with the best training possible. 2 of our officers attended Train the Trainer course for a less than lethal shotgun training course at the Highway Patrol. This training helps expand our range of non-lethal options and ensures our officers have every tool necessary to safely go through critical incidents. KPD supervisors attended a leadership development course at Gladstone PD, free of charge, furthering our ongoing commitment to professional growth and leadership experience within our department. It's been a great quarter of great progress, professional development, and continued commitment to safety and service for us. We're proud of the hard work our officers and staff continue to put in every day to keep Kearney a safe and thriving community. Going forward to Q3, we're continuing to focus on educating and enforcing the city's ordinances, dealing with the presence of e-bikes and scooters on our streets, sidewalks, and trails. It's been a big push for us. We're going to be following up with a Facebook post very shortly on our efforts that we've been doing in the last month. We've been tracking all of those contacts and stops. We're not naming names or anything like that, but we're trying to educate the public as best we can, especially before Christmas, when somebody gets an idea that they're gonna buy an e-bike for their child to ride around on our bikes, on our trails and sidewalks and streets. We don't want that to happen. So that's where we're at.
Exciting report, Chief. A common recurring theme I'm here is continued making our employees getting professional development, right? And I know I've said this many a times as we talk through these metrics and talking about all the wonderful things our employees are doing for the city of Kearney, but it continues to be a breath of fresh air to see our employees working so hard towards professional development. So that'll continue to pay dividends, I'm sure. So
Absolutely, sir.
thank you.
Okay, the Parks Department offers 215 acres of parkland for the public and over 7+ miles of trails. Our budget to actual in the second quarter was 53.7%. We have 3 full-time employees, Ryan, Ray, and myself. We also have a part-time employee, Jeff Anderson, and he's allocated 1,000 hours in the fiscal year, and he's already used those 1,000 hours because he mainly works throughout the summer months. We also have 3 seasonal staff that share 1,000 hours, and those hours are also used basically May through August. We had 10.25 hours of overtime in the second quarter. A lot of mowing, weed eating, and park maintenance was done. 772 hours of mowing and weed eating, and park cleanup, trash bags and barrels, and the pet waste station, 811 bags. We removed over 48 trees or trimmed 48 trees. And Ray continues as our certified playground safety inspector. He conducted 6 inspections of the playground, and knock on wood, we did not have any vandalism hours in the second quarter. Our participants, we had 611 pickleball players in the second quarter, 165 soccer players, 123 football players. Volleyball, we had 37. We implemented a new fall t-ball league for the Little Tykes. It was a first-time offering, and we had 34 of those. And then we had offered sports camps, and we had 77 participants in that. Our shelters still are incredible at both Lions Park and Jesse James Park with 90 shelter reservations. We hosted 1 rodeo arena event rental. We also had 8 community events, 3 at the amphitheater with concerts. One was on July 3rd with our fireworks, a Motown tribute on July 12th, and then August 16th was our Waylon Jennings. We also hosted 3 movies in the park, and a shout out to Costantino's Price Chopper of Kearney, as they were our sponsors for our movies in the park. And we had, again, 3 of those, July 18th, August 1st, and September 5th. And this past fall, we brought back our Kids Fall Fest with inflatables and different activities. We had many clubs and organizations throughout town join us in that venture. The Optimus Club donated over 500 hot dogs. The Rotary Club, over 500 bottles of water and or pop. Lions Club offered their popcorn balls and hosted games. And the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints participated with free face painting and games. And then the annual Jesse James Festival was held in Jesse James Park for the 2 weekends in September. Looking ahead on this quarter, we're focusing on the Hall Park project as we have received updated cost estimates and drawings, including the fitness equipment. And we will be discussing these items and all things associated with the grant requirements. And we'll be doing this tomorrow night at our park board meeting. And then we'll be sending out our RFPs for the fitness equipment, advertised for our general contractor. and that selection process done. We will be coming back to you for final consideration at a Board of Aldermen meeting later. And we anticipate starting construction with the timeline that has been set out around mid-March. Finally, we're getting ready to start our youth basketball league. We have one late week of registration. And then over this quarter we're in right now, we'll be starting to trim over 200 trees in the park and along all the trails. That's my update.
Thank you for that update, Eric.
Well, Marcos Barbosa is our part-time cemetery sexton. Right now, that department is at 45.9%. He spent 144 hours of cemetery cleanup, tree trimming. We also sent Marcos to some continuing education with chainsaw training along with Ray and Jeffrey this summer. So we had 36 hours worth of trees in the cemetery. And then also tilling around the cemetery, graves and plantings. He worked 18 hours there. Marked 10 graves. He made 84 trips to the cemetery. And then we reset different graves that were tipped or had been hit by mowers or things of that nature. We worked 6 hours on those, and we anticipate a lot of those being reset in this quarter because there's a lot that needs to be done. So that's the cemetery update.
Great, thank you.
Public Works. The Public Works Department concluded the second quarter with budget to actual at 49.4%. All four Public Works departments are now fully staffed. Operationally, the team delivered or removed 100 solid waste containers and actively managed 29 contracts at various stages from planning to construction and issued 8 right-of-way permits. A major accomplishment was the completion of the Kearney's Pathways Gaps and Crossings project. Looking ahead to third quarter, the department plans to put out the water treatment plant filter media project and the first phase of the Clark Street water main replacement project out to bid. Complete construction of the Basin 5 inflow and infiltration phase 1 project and place the new I-35 water tower into service. Well, short and sweet here.
You looked at the screen and
Well, I see it.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm in the right order. All right, the water department treated 65.9 million gallons and purchased 43.7 million gallons of water. That's approximately $5 million less water purchase than in Q2 from last year. And this is due to having well 1 in full service this year. The water treatment plant ran for a total of 1,376 hours and staff performed 8,424 treatment and 71 distribution tests. Operational tasks included responding to 628 utility locates, 2 water main breaks, operating 113 valves, flushing 50 fire hydrants, replacing 49 meters, and installing 49 new construction water taps. The department's budget to actual is at 50.6%. Upcoming work includes adding security cameras at the water plant complex and fixing the exposed water line on Route 33 near I-35.
Shelley,
Yes.
the locate tickets number just still seems extremely high to me. I know last year, earlier this year rather, I know we had 2 fiber companies in town at the same time in our right of ways. Is there, I don't know, I just 628 just still seems like a lot of employees' time out there locating our infrastructure. So is there any particular reason why it just still seems high to me compared to what we've usually seen?
I do believe it's down from last year, but I don't know offhand the
Okay.
percentage, but I could check and follow up by email. It's still,
It's like we have a full-time employee having to mark.
we're doing a lot
Yeah.
of utility marking.
Okay.
And you gotta do the dig right for everything.
Oh, for
You
sure.
plant a tree, you do something with a mailbox, you build a house, or you extend a utility or whatever, it covers a lot. Yeah.
The sewer department managed a significantly higher flow volumes, treating 86.9 million gallons of wastewater compared to 64 million gallons the previous quarter from last year. This reflects from having 10.4 inches of rain received versus the 4.6 inches from last year. The average daily flow of 0.94 million gallons utilized 84% of the plant's capacity. Performance metrics include processing 170 dry tons of sludge, conducting 89 lift station inspections with 3 clogs, and performing 1,012 tests. Department's budget to actual is 45.2%. A critical task in Q3 will be shutting down and maintaining a UV system for the winter months. And lastly, the transportation department made significant strides in physical infrastructure this quarter. Most notably is replacing 540 linear feet of sidewalk and 48 linear feet of curb, which is substantially increased compared to 150 feet of sidewalk and 0 linear feet of curb replaced in the same quarter last year. This was primarily due to adding the foreman and the increased focus on these activities. Maintenance efforts also include placing 14 tons of asphalt patching, 100 linear feet of ditching, 63 hours of equipment maintenance, 25 hours of sweeping, and 25 hours of sign work. Staff also mowed 460 hours, performed 70 hours for roadway beautification, and cleaned 12 linear feet of storm pipe. The budget to actual was 43.9%, influenced by lower staffing levels and pending the outfitting of our new truck, because we haven't paid for that yet. It's a substantial purchase. The third quarter focus is on sidewalk replacements, a culvert replacement on Southbrook Parkway, which is already completed. We're crack sealing right now, and we're preparing for our winter operations.
It's safe to say that once again, our employees worked extremely hard to deliver the services that our taxpayers receive. And thank you to all the employees that put in the time and effort. And our parks look amazing. Our city looks amazing. And it's obviously important to have safe drinking water. So and police service. So thank you guys for that report. Does anybody on the board have any questions on any of those reports this evening? Okay. Thank you, department heads, for delivering that this evening. Next item this evening, and Mike, I'm gonna do my best to pronounce your name correctly, but we have Mike Groschek. Groschek. Okay, I apologize about that, sir. Here this evening with the firm Trout Beeman and Co. PC to provide our annual comprehensive financial report for the year end of March 31, 2025. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, to the management. I recognize a lot of you. I can recognize all of you, except maybe Mr. Holt, because he's remote tonight. He could have changed. But I was before you earlier in the year, and I'm here before you in the same year, which means that you are now caught up on all of your audits. Your 3/31/25 year end was issued prior to September, which means you could submit to the auditor's office within the 6 months. And that's probably been a first time you've been able to do that for a while. So congratulations and appreciate your assistance on that. It'd take up maybe to the 29th, but it was completed. So you could almost say, I don't really need to say anymore. It had to go better because we got it out within 6 months. So you are now working only on the current year, not a couple years, a couple behind, which makes a lot of difference. So anyway, pleased to report that. I'll just say a few things, point out some of the highlights. You can certainly ask what any questions you like, but there was no new taxes, no tax increases that I can think of.
slight increase in the levy, but no, increase in your levy, amounts. And, investment earnings were up about 100 grand, which has been a trend that we've been seeing. Rates have gone up, and then you also take advantage of investing in some money markets and CDs. So that was a nice increase. Your property taxes did go up a little bit, about 200,000. Your sales taxes went up a little bit. You get about 25% of your revenues from property taxes. You get about 30% from sales taxes. And then about $1 million from various forms of charges and services, and then some other things besides that. Revenues this year were 6.7 million in the general fund, 6 million last year. And when you work through all the transfers in and out and payments for services, it was about the same as 2024. You added about 500,000 to your fund balance or your surplus or your net assets, whatever term you would like to use. The city has, one thing you can look at for is financial security, stability, is how much do you have in reserve in case there was some traumatic event of revenue. So you've got about over a $3 million fund balance. Your expenditures are about 7. So you can cover about half a year without receiving any revenue. People ask me all the time, what amount of surplus should I have? That's not an easy answer. It's kind of like your personal health. How much do you need? If you have too much, they say, well, you've got too much, you should lower my taxes and not charge me as much. If you don't have enough and there's a problem, they say, why didn't you have a larger surplus? So to some degree, maybe you can't win that, but just to toss something out there, I like about 6 months. I do work with others that are higher, but not many, and there's a lot that are lower. So I'd probably put you in the upper range as far as who can handle a surplus. So that's one area that you can look at for stability. The other thing is last year's cash balance in total over the whole city was about 21 million, not counting restricted. And this year was about 22. So you're about the same. You didn't have your budgeted revenues for most funds met their budget targets. You didn't have any expenditures over your budgeted expenditures. You did have some amendments during the year. So you had no budget violations. All your cash was adequately secure. Those are two state statutes we look at pretty closely. So there was no issues there. As far as debts, you did take out one $4.9 million issue in your water fund. You spent about a quarter of that money by 3/31/25. You still had some left over to spend on that. Other than that, you just paid on your old debts. No other state statute violations that we noted. You appear to meet all your rate covenants or whatever covenants you had for your various debt issues. In looking at your financial statements overall, it gave a pretty solid impression. When I look at them, they appear to be well managed. There was no blatant holes that what happened with the other funds. So overall, then you have your other non-major funds. They were pretty consistent. The sidewalk being one of the bigger ones. The cat activity tax might be another one. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good year. And obviously, you got out your financial statements on time, so you were well qualified. That's your summary in brief, but I'd be glad to entertain any specific questions you might have.
Any questions from the board to Mr. Mike regarding his report on the comprehensive annual financial report for the month end of March 31st, 25? Thank you to Stephanie and the rest of our staff for making sure our reports are filed timely and provide adequate information to our consultant here to provide this report. So thank you kindly for being here this evening and appreciate your work.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the issue. Oh, and by the way, there was no additional billings this time either. That's another indication perhaps things went better.
Yeah, we caught some I'm sure taxpayers will be happy that we did not have to approve any additional expenditures this year. So that thank you for that as well.
Thank you.
I have no mayor's communications this evening. We'll move on to city administrator's report.
I'd just like to remind you all that the Connected Kearney Open House, it's going to be on Thursday of this week from 4:30 to 6:30 at the Kearney Senior Center. There will be some good information there, and also we'll be collecting people's input. So I hope people will stop by. And then the next regular board meeting will be on Monday, December 1st, right here at 6:30 p.m.
I could just, I want to, I appreciate all of the opportunities that staff has provided to the residents, and our constituents and taxpayers, and even those that don't live in the city but may own a business. I feel there's never been opportunity to share your voice, right? Whether it's with an elected official, or whether it's a constituent's opportunity to have influence on all the exciting projects we have going on. So I appreciate all the work Colleen has done with social media and getting all this information out there, working with all of our other staff. And I just, if a resident comes up and tells me, hey, we don't have the opportunity to share our voice, or don't have our opportunity to be involved in these projects, man, I don't know what to tell them, because there's been a massive change and opportunity for our residents. So thank you guys for that as well. We'll move on to Alderman discussion. Alderman Spencer.
Nothing.
Alderman Holt.
Nothing, I'm good, thank you.
Alderman Lehman.
I would just like to share that my boss at my part-time job has suddenly become a regular viewer of our flash updates. And he doesn't live in the community, but he lives over in the other state over there, but
Johnson County, we won't hold it again.
yeah, I know. But he says it's fun to get on there and to see what's happening, even though the business is just outside city limits. But so that's always fun to hear. So,
And that's coming from an ex-county commissioner. I mean, he's been an elected official besides owning many businesses himself. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Yep.
Alderman King.
Don't have either.
All righty. We do have an executive session notice up this evening, a closed session per RSMO 610-021. Subsection 1 for legal actions or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorneys, and RSMO 610-021 subsection 12 to discuss matters pertaining to negotiated contracts, and RSMO 610-021 subsection 18 confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body and its auditor. And just a reminder, the meeting will be adjourned from here. So this does conclude our open public session of the meeting. If we can consider a motion to enter into executive session at 7:54.
Moved.
I'll second.
Roll call vote.
Alderman Lehman,
Aye.
Alderman King,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Hi.
Alderman Holt.
Aye.
Vote is unanimous. We'll enter to executive session. Everybody have a great evening. Thank you for being here.